Darryl, first and foremost, last night it was announced that Chris Forrester will be the new skipper, Michael Smith will be the vice-captain. Decision made by obviously the manager Grant, and one that's been received very well.
Yeah, the gaffer came to me, I think, on day one and said to me who he was going to make as captain, who his vice-captain was. I think he's thought about it long and hard over the summer. Good choice, actually, because you watch Chris in games and you watch him in training and you watch him around the lads. They look up to Chris a hell of a lot, and he mightn't have loads to say, but when he speaks, Roy Keane never had a lot to say, although he growled out in the field. But Chris Forrester's he's one of the best players in the Football League, and it shows what we want to do with Chris, that we want to keep Chris, and he's very important to what we do. Making him captain makes a statement, and I think it's probably one of them things when you look at the 11, who's one of your first names on the sheet. It's good, that's when you got to take into account captaincy as well. We've shuffled around with it between the goalkeeper, the centre halves. It was past the parcel. It was too much. So I think it's good to have that those two set now. They're captain, vice captain of the club, of the team. The armband won't be getting handed around willy nilly, and we bring a bit of respectability back to the captaincy. So looking forward to seeing what they can do.
Yeah, a few people noted, obviously, with Michael Smith being vice captain, it probably points towards something. So you got some news for us there.
Michael's agreed a 3-year deal, so delighted to say that as well. He never wanted to leave this club. His family are settled in the area, and he's just had a baby, and he's been called up and got his first international cap while at Peterborough. So delighted with that. If not, he's one of the best right backs in the league, and mind you, from what I've seen of Hayden out here, he's going to give him a run for his money. But Michael's brilliant, and he's a great club guy, and highly respected amongst the players as well. So delighted to get that sorted out.
Yeah. Off the pitch, obviously, when the fixtures come out, the first thing that a commercial department will start to do is obviously try and sell the games. And in terms of the commercial aspect of the football club, everyone wants more, don't they? But in terms of the work they're doing is very good.
Yeah, Horace and Alex do a good job. They're under pressure for me at the moment to do a better job always, because I always want more. We always want to smash what we did the year before, and I think we've had a trajectory that's been like that since I took over commercially. Big part of that's down to Alex, Horace and Bob, of course. So they're working hard behind the scenes. The boxes are pretty much all done. I think they're chasing the last two people now for money that's owed.
You lucky posh fans!
At least he's got his clothes on. So
that is a relief.
Yeah, the G rope's away. So commercially very important for the club. Look, there's some key components to when you're running a football club, and when people moan about selling players and everything else. One of the key components is crowds. We always expect 6,500 in League One. The successful years, we've had good crowds of 6,500 as an average. Last couple of seasons, we've dropped and dropped and dropped. That has been colossal. You lose 1,000 people, you're talking about over a season, 500,000, 600 grand. Season tickets the same. We need to get that revenue back. We need to get those crowds back. We need to get commercial up even more. Sponsorship deals, fantastic. There's a queue of people who want to sponsor us and get their names on shirts and on the stadium, which is good. But I want to see the crowds grow. There's not just the financial aspect, it's the atmosphere, it's the support. So we're working hard on that. I kept the prices at a good price. I feel we'll have a very competitive season this season. We'll do well. We certainly don't want to lose any more fans. So that's one of the key things for me this year. Forget about all the talking about winning leagues and promotions. It's getting the fans happy again to the fact where they're back in the stadium and they're filling it up. And with the amount of clubs that came down and came up, they're good geographically for us. I feel with the away crowds that will help as well. So we really, really want to improve on that. So all good, Yeah,
and the pre-season games, obviously got 4 home pre-season friendlies. Again, kept at a very good rate.
We did a great deal. I think it's an £8 bundle price per game for the posh fans. People always moan about pre-season games. I've listened to that. I've put them a lot lower. Leeds, we feel they'll bring a good crowd. Norwich, you'd like to think they'd bring a good crowd. Barnsley, not so sure. That's just kind of a bit of a tune-up game, so crowd won't be essential in that one, but it'd be good if people came. And the fourth game is
West Ham 11.
West Ham, yeah, sorry, my head. We feel West Ham will bring a few players, so that'd be good for the West Ham fans. So they're good home games. I love pre-season games, so I love watching football games, and whether they're friendlies, competitive. Like next week I'm away in business, and our first game against is it who's it?
Boston on the 9th.
If that's getting filmed and sent out, and I'm paying for that to be filmed and sent out to me, so that shows my commitment all the time. You know what I mean? I never want to miss a game. So we made it competitive for the fans, and those ticket sales are going well.
Yeah, people might not see behind the scenes. There's been a lot of work going on in the away dressing room and things that people just take for granted, but it all goes into cost.
People are always on at me about money. Couple of key things. We had a 25-year lease on the. I mean, I've had my ghoulies kicked in the last few months with stuff to do with the stadium, the training ground, and people never understand this. We don't turn over massive amounts of money with our crowds. it's very difficult. 60% rules and everything else. To be able to build a competitive squad with our gates is almost miracle. Like, to have this talent we have is, I have to say, I'm not patting myself on the back or Barry, but we've done bloody well, because you're in a world with a 60% rule on what you can spend. It's very difficult. And as an example, when we signed our lease at the training ground, part of the lease was to keep it at £1 a year. We had to put a 3G into the facility. Now 3Gs cost 600-700 grand, and to trigger the long-term lease we had to have it in this year. And obviously we were trying to get funding for it and everything else, that you'd get half of it and I'd put up the other half, and of course somebody else went and got a 3G within Peterborough and we lost the funding rights. So then we were being told that we might have to leave the training ground without putting the 3G in. Now I've already spent nearly 750 grand on the training ground, and these are the things I'm dealing with all the time, why I feel so sometimes fed up and frustrated owning the football club, is I'm trying to deliver championship football to the city, and I'm then being told I've got to do this, the stadium, I've got to pay extortionate rent, I've got to pay for a 3G now. So now I've had to just approve, and we're spending well over 600 grand on a 3G pitch at the training ground, you know what I mean, which is part of the deal with the school. So it was in the contract, I agree, and when you sign contracts it's very difficult, but we don't really have a lot of choice. There isn't a lot of options for us for a training facility within Peterborough, so that's really put me up against it the last few months, you know. And there's the stadium ongoing issue all the time over the, you know, the amount of rent we pay. We pay more rent than anybody in the football league, you know. Give people an example, they don't really understand sometimes what it's like running a football club, and I do my best. In July I've got to put in £720,000 sterling to make up the shortfall for our bills in July, and that's for a League One football club. And we like to think we try and live within our means. We don't pay silly wages, we don't go crazy. So that's me trying my best. So when people are always having a go and having a dig and not coming to games and everything else, think about it. You know, I'm doing my bit, you know, and people have to appreciate that, you know, that I'm here, I'm doing my best. I want to build a competitive football club that'll challenge to get into the championship, and with that I need help from the city. I need help from all areas, you know what I mean, and without keep pummeling me all the time. And that's what I feel sometimes. That's where it pushes me to the edge, you know, because you can only do so much. I don't make money from the football club. People made comments recently about the amount of interest that I've had paid over the last few years. They don't realise that interest didn't go to me. The interest went on loans that I've taken and put into the football club and whatever, and it's gone towards some of them, and I've then paid the rest of the interest. So I haven't made £1 note on any interest payments, do you know what I mean? I've put up houses, I've done whatever, I've paid off the loans. That's where interest payments go. It's not my expenses. I don't even get a petrol receipt. So it frustrates me, you know, like the trip out here, I pay 40 odd grand. So these are the things that go on, and people want to make little snide comments all the time about it, and where's the money, and what happens to this and what happens to that. That's the challenge of running a League One football club with crowds of 5,500 people. So the more people that come, the better we'll do. The more people within the city and the people higher up in the city, local authorities that work with me instead of against me, the better the city is. When we're in the championship, the city makes, we calculated, I think it was up to £10 million a year for the city in income. You know, that stadium, since it's been bought, they've had their money back, and they've got all those houses paying tax every year. You know, it's been a very sound investment for them, and it's something that we now need to work on with them to get over this hump and rearrange what our agreement is at the moment, which is just, you know, extortionate, and buy the stadium back, because that's our aim. But we need to buy the stadium back at a reasonable price. You know, I met with Premier League clubs recently, and I had a meeting in London with one of them. They paid £3.2 million for the stadium in London. I'm being quoted up to 6 times that amount to try and buy the stadium back. So they're all the things that frustrate me. They're all the things I'm trying to solve, and people have got to understand what goes on behind the scenes. I feel transfer wise we did some amazing work in January. I know we got criticised for bringing too many in, but I feel January and June's business will set us up for the next 2-3 seasons very, very well. So, and right now we're so happy with everything that's going on. We obviously have that one position left to fulfill. We've had Ben signed a new contract, Michael's signed a new contract. There's a couple of other people we're speaking to about new contracts, and we feel we're going to have a very, very solid base, very settled base. So it's exciting.
Just finally, we mentioned about crowds. I think the Football League are trying to up the crowds in the EFL Trophy, or what it is that called at this moment in time. They're allowing under 21 sides from Cat 1 clubs to join.
Over us voting yes. I thought about it long and hard. Nobody wants B teams in the Football League. That's never going to happen. Here's the reality of the situation. I love that trophy. It's more games. It's a chance to go to Wembley. We went to Wembley. We won the trophy. It was a great day out for our city. My fear and many other people's fear was losing the sponsor and everything else. That trophy would have been binned in the next year or two. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with ways to reinvigorate it, excite it, and bring something different to the table. It was suggested. It wasn't a financial decision. It was more for me about not losing the trophy, because it's, as a League One, League Two club, it's your League Cup. So I'm not fearful of Premier League pushing their teams into the Football League. That will never happen. You can see it with the votes and the people. It will never happen. This is completely different. So I think people need to sit back and let it take its course and see if it works, if it doesn't work. If it's a dud, it will be changed and probably most likely scrapped. Do you know what I mean? Altogether. So let's hope it works. Let's hope there's a mild bit of success and the trophy continues, because you ask us, Barnsley, the teams who've won it the last few years, it's, Bristol City won it as well when they went up. It's a wonderful trophy to have. So I understand people's frustration. I get why they're so enraged, but I think there's more important things to worry about.